Thank you, Carol, so much. It is an honor, a deep honor, to be here today among you all of the great decisions and global Minnesota community, past recipients of this award, and one of my absolutely favorite people, Susan Plimpton, the co-honoree today. It's been really a great pleasure and a privilege to be part of a team and a community around global Minnesota, especially the community of great decisions. And many of the organizers and speakers from Great Decisions are here today, and I think we should give a round of applause to I feel that we all share in this award. I'll always be grateful to Carol for reaching out to me during my transition back from DC to the Twin Cities. I had already segued from the Foreign Service to a senior position at the Atlantic Council, and was still affiliated there when I first came back here for family reasons, what I thought was going to be a temporary stay. But as I became aware of the international mindset here, the sense of volunteerism, and especially community, which is not really too salient in Washington, D.C., I eventually made the decision to return to Minnesota. And above all, I became involved with a wonderful group of people dedicated to great decisions and civic education. Carol, of course, as head of Global Minnesota, then MIC. Carol Steinberg, who's here today, who was so instrumental and so effective in organizing great decisions. Rich Detmers, who was a real catalyst. He was a wonderful person, and I would like to dedicate this honor, this award to him today. But also people, the organizers, people like Wendy Cheswick, who have picked up the mantle for Rich Detmers, and an amazing group of colleagues as speakers for great decisions: George Wells, Todd Lefko, Ambassador Bob Plotton, and so many more. Today, as has been pointed out, the Great Decisions Program of the Foreign Policy Association is America's largest discussion program on world affairs by far, and our program here in Minnesota is the largest of those. As was pointed out also, Carol's outstanding work at MIC, now at Global Minnesota, has received numerous national awards and recognitions, both from the Foreign Policy Association and from the World Affairs Council of America. I think some of the greatest contributions recently have been the creation of new connections, programs that don't exist elsewhere in the Great Network nationally. We have an annual Great Decisions Conference, which will be coming up this month. This year, the topic is media and foreign policy. And we have a structural relationship with the largest regional newspaper, the Star Tribune, which has been flourishing, and their John Rash of the Star Tribune has been instrumental in this very productive partnership. Looking, though, at the state of our country and our foreign policy today, it's clear that citizens' education on foreign affairs is more important than ever. As I look back, I think that this need and this commitment has gone through three phases. The whole concept of public opinion, whether through advertising or civic education, really emerged during World War I, as the administration tried to justify our entry into that conflict. Both the Council on Foreign Relations in New York and the Foreign Policy Association were created during World War I to promote public awareness of foreign affairs. I think that people back in those eras probably were more clear-minded about the need and the stakes involved in civic education on foreign affairs. Secretary of State Elihu Root, during World War I, said the following, which I think is very, very receptive. He said, when foreign affairs were ruled by autocracies or oligarchs, the danger of war was in sinister purpose. When foreign affairs are ruled by democracies, the danger of war will be in mistaken beliefs. While there is no human way to prevent a king from having a bad heart, there is a human way to prevent people from having erroneous opinions. And I think he put his finger on the need for democracies to make this a top priority, that the population be educated to understand foreign affairs and to weigh in. The second phase, I think, was around World War II. Council on Foreign Relations created a number of councils in many cities in the U.S. to counter isolationism at the time. And at the end of World War II, there was a fear we would withdraw again, as we had after World War I. And the top diplomatic historian of that era, Thomas Bailey, wrote, "If the American people, through their Congress, insists upon isolation, non-cooperation, ruinous tariff barriers, and other impediments to world recovery, they will have their way, with disastrous results." A tremendous job lays before us in public education, because public opinion in the long run determines basic foreign policies. It was in that era that the Foreign Policy Association in 1954 began the Great Decisions Program, which we're saluting today. But we're entering a third phase now. The world is in great flux. 1945 is a long time ago. A much more complicated multipolar reality is emerging. Globalization and onrushing technology are creating new uncertainties. People are seeking simple solutions. China in particular poses a challenge, technological competition, the ability of non-market economies to plan long-term. There's actually a challenge coming in terms of governance based on new technologies with the Chinese social credit system, which is emerging. How do we respond? Already Alexis de Tocqueville in the 1830s pinpointed what he thought was the greatest danger of American democracy going forward. And that was the tendency of an individualistic society to isolate the individual. That there would be increasing isolation of the individual. Today, our new media environment, social media, is increasing this tendency toward isolation and toward echo chambers. We need public spaces for citizen dialogue, once again, and I would say more than ever. Walter Lippmann once wrote, and he was probably one of the first persons to analyze public opinion and the role it would come to play. He says, without public education, democracies flounder. He wrote, "In this darkness and silence, the world is rigged, and all manner of cruelty and selfishness flourishes. We must make citizens aware that foreign policy is related to their daily lives. There's no quick panacea," he said, "but we must have a compass by which democracies can steer their course." In my view, Global Minnesota is such a compass, provides such a compass. And I believe that the Great Decisions Program should not be just maintained, but should be actively expanded to meet what I believe is the third crucial phase of the crisis here of citizens' awareness. I also believe that coordination among civic-minded institutions and NGOs should be strengthened and institutionalized, that we can draw from each other's strengths. And there is a movement underway here in the Twin Cities. Mark Ritchie is here today. He's instrumental in this to accomplish this, bringing together of our energies. We should have a compass in spite of all the headwinds we see around us. Global Minnesota is an essential part of this commitment to our democracy and citizens' education. Thank you, Carol. Thank you to all of you in the Global Minnesota community assembled here today. And long live Global Minnesota. Thank you.